All right, I will call this meeting to order. This is the January 23rd. Good. There we go. All right. Yeah, it's the January 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Olentangy Board of Education. Mr. Jenkins, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Lester.
Here.
Dr. Daberco.
Here.
Dr. Wallach.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Ms. Schreiber.
Here.
All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I don't believe that we have any amendments to the agenda. Any amendments? All right, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins, please call the roll.
Mr. Lester.
Yes.
Dr. Daberco.
Yes.
Dr. Wallach.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber.
Yes.
All right, we have a pretty packed agenda. We've got a lot of people here, which we always love to see. So thank you all for coming out. I know some of you are here to perform and some of you are probably here to watch the performers, which is great. But thank you all for coming out. I'll have a pretty short board president's report. We have a lot on the agenda tonight. But one thing I want to recognize is, last year when we were out talking about the levy, a question that I got a lot was, all right, you put out good schools, you provide a good education to the community. What other things do the schools give to the community for maybe people that don't have kids in schools or maybe people that that their kids have already grown? What do the schools offer the community? And I think that this past week has really shown a couple really clear examples of what the schools give to the community. I know that Dr. Daberco, Mr. O'Brien, and I were all Friday night at Liberty High School. For those of you who don't know, there's a student at Liberty High School who has brain cancer. And has taken this opportunity. Obviously, that's a challenge for anybody, especially a young person. But it's taken this as an opportunity to help others. And so started a foundation, the Natalie Gray Foundation, which raises money for pediatric brain cancer. They do an event every year that's tied to a Liberty basketball game with another school in the district. This one was Orange, with both the boys and the girls teams. And they raise money specifically for that. I believe it was like $28,000 that they raised just that Friday night. And all of that goes to supporting pediatric brain cancer research for other students, both in this area throughout the world. Another great example of this was our MLK Day of Service. And I know Mr. Meyer will probably talk about this in his superintendent's report. But it's something where the schools are promoting all these different organizations around the community that need help, whether it's a diaper bank or homeless shelters or those sorts of things, and encourage people to come out. It's very inspiring to see the students out there in the freezing cold. It was very, very, very cold on Monday. Volunteering their time on a day that they have off from school to help collect this, to help organize it and build it in. What our schools are doing is promoting this ethos of service that extends not just for the school day, not for this year, but throughout students' lifetimes. Right. And that's something that, it's not required. It's not part of our daily curriculum that we have to do it. But at every level, I mean, you see it throughout the year of all the different things that the schools are giving back to the community. It's just one way that we're trying to be a good partner. And I think it's something to celebrate. And I'm so appreciative for all the students, the staff, the families, the community members that took the time to go to these and all of the myriad of other events that happen, and it's just truly worth recognizing. So thanks everybody for that. With that, I will note that we do have 2 executive sessions here tonight. One of them we will return and have some action items. The other one we will only return only to adjourn. I suspect that a lot of you will probably be gone. We'll probably leave before that. I will note that those of you that are here for a performance and you want to leave afterwards, you're free to do so. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting. We do have some exciting stuff, but you're not required to stay. And we just want to thank you all for being here. So with that, do we have any committee updates? We did have the mental health committee meeting last week, which I would note that we talked about a district-wide stigma competition and some efforts to try to build some of that up over time, as well as things to reach some specialized groups, around mental health issues that might affect small groups of students or small groups of the population. So we're looking at some of those things. I don't know any other committees or OSBA. Do we have any updates there?
I don't. believe so. Okay, maybe go
Do you want to talk about why Miss Shriver's wearing a?
So, as some of you may know, I am a graduate of University of Notre Dame, class of 2008, 2005. Sorry, law school was 2008, so long ago. And obviously, I'm alone in a sea of scarlet and gray. So, Dr. Dabico and I had a friendly wager on the game on Monday that if Notre Dame won, that he would come to tonight's board meeting in his Notre Dame jersey, which I'm sure he already had. I don't think he had to go out and buy anything new. But as we all know, Ohio State is the national champions. They played really well. Yes, I'll say it. And so because of that, the agreement was that I would come to tonight's meeting in my Ohio State jersey that I also obviously had in my closet. So just kind of a bit of fun between board members and
Jersey looks great.
Thank you.
5 kids from Olentangy are on the football roster. I couldn't find a band roster, but I know there was, I don't know, at least 5 from one of the high schools. So
they took a picture, I think, and sent it to.
They did. Yeah, they sent us a picture, and we probably will have it at the next meeting because we couldn't download it. Yep,
yeah, so
absolutely.
probably dozens of kids working into that performance.
Sure.
But it's super fun. I mean, I think even among friendly rivals, it's great to see kids coming together and having a great time. The adults who have allegiances to both schools coming together and having a good time and supporting the team in a constructive and positive way.
Yes, it was
Taking it all in stride when you lose a bet.
a nervous second half as well.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So we'll move forward to our first presentation, which is the Cheshire Cubs choir performance. And
Yep, you go. Yep.
oh,
Okay, I was going to say, wait a second. All right, hello. Before we get to the Cheshire Cubs, which I know is the highlight of the evening, we just wanted to introduce why they are here and take this opportunity to recognize you all as January is School Board Recognition and Appreciation Month. The Ohio School Board Association has deemed this year's theme as School Board Superheroes. So you all are superheroes. And I'm like, look, Lizette's already, or
Ready in mind.
Ms. Shriver's already a superhero because she's, got her Buckeye jersey on. However, tonight, in honor of our Olentangy School Board, we have gifts for each of you, our superhero board members. Berlin High School junior Josie Baker and Berlin High School graduate Mia Jones, both under the supervision of Berlin High School art teacher Angela Knight, have made custom superhero portraits for each of you. You have to show them.
Yeah, turn them around.
They are amazing.
Oh my God.
The students did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
On the back.
LinkedIn profile picture.
It should definitely be your LinkedIn profile picture. I
Love it.
cannot tell you how impressed I was to see those. And
Do one photo.
Sure.
You guys just want to come up. All right, Dr. Becker, we want to see yours. Ready? Try not to.
they might tilt them this, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
They're great.
So hopefully you hang those in a place of prominence in your homes or your offices. But truly, we want you to know how much we appreciate you. And we also have a video that we have made showcasing some of the many superpowers you all bring to our district. So we're going to share that video.
I am Libby Wallach, and I've been serving on the Olentangy Local School District's Board of Education for about 2.5 years now. What I really enjoy about supporting the work of high academic standards, high rigor in this district is really being attuned to the process by which we adopt new curriculum. As a former classroom teacher and as someone who still works in the world of professional development for instructional leaders, this is really important to me, and it's exciting to know how we vet curriculum so that we're not just throwing a dart to see what sticks, but really selecting high quality materials that will enhance the learning for our students. Additionally, I love coming to our board meetings and having presentations from staff members, and even better when students are brought into the picture, so we get to see the work that they're doing in the classroom showcased, and I love it.
My name is Kevin Dabrico. I'm finishing my 3rd year on the Olentangy Board of Education. We continue to advocate for fair school funding and getting our fair share from the state. And what that means is we shouldn't have 90% of our money go to the state to never return. So for me, the number one issue that impacts every taxpayer in Olentangy is the fair school funding issue.
My name's Kevin O'Brien. I'm an Olentangy School Board member, been on the board starting my 16th year. Since joining the board, we've done a really good job of being very mindful of how we allocate dollars, where we spend dollars. We've got a proven track record of a very competitive cost per pupil, combined with outstanding student performance. And so I think that demonstrates is evidence that the investments we make, the dollars we spend, are driving the right outcomes that we want. That's high performance at a really competitive cost point.
Hi, my name is Lizette Schreiber, and I am the newest member of the Olentangy Local School Board of Education, and I'm going into my 2nd year of service. So the policy committee is how I became involved in just district level volunteering. I think policies are a great way to have a set of guidelines for how the district works and a set of ground rules on how to move forward. So that's what is really impactful to me, is that everybody is on the same page when you have a good set of policies. Expectations are clear and everybody knows where to go when you have good, well-written policy. And then the next step, besides just having a basic level of complying with state laws and national laws, it also can reflect the district's values and how they treat each other with respect and accountability.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lester. I've just finished 3 years on the board. I'm starting my 4th year. This is my first term in office. As board members, it is essential that we stay in touch with the community. We are here because we are community members. And the only way that we can continue to make the sorts of decisions about the strategic direction of the district is to continue to stay in touch with the community. It's an honor to be a board member, and it's important that we uphold the community's trust.
So thank you. I think that video definitely highlights your superhero powers that you bring to the table to benefit all of our students and staff here at Olentangy. So thank you so much.
So I'll just say your superpower is editing.
Yeah.
Not mine. Adam is outstanding. But you all did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we know that this next part is all collectively your favorite. So without further ado, we have a special performance by the Cheshire Cub Choir led by music teacher Nathan Stewart.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Nathan Stewart, and I'm assisted by Delaney Boucher, and we are the Singing Cubs. The Singing Cubs Choir actually consists of 86 students. We had to pare it down for the room this evening. We'll be sharing 3 songs with you. Our school song, I'm a Cheshire Cub, which shows our PBIS traits. A song called Shalom that we shared at our holiday sing-along. Shalom is a Hebrew word that means peace. And then we're going to sing a song that's very appropriate right now, Snow.
Everyone at Cheshire belongs. I am a Cheshire
Thank you so much.
Wonderful job.
It must be the AP government.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. That was really amazing. I think that last song was specifically directed to Superintendent Meyer. It's, take that under advisement.
Yeah.
But Miss Kenny, I'm sorry that's a tough act to follow. But we'll move next to our next presentation, which is the fall third grade ELA data and elementary literacy update.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having us tonight. I'm Jeanette Kenny, Director of Data and Continuous Improvement. And then joining me is going to be on my other shoulder, Ebony Ford, who's our K-12 Literacy Supervisor. And like you said, that is really hard to follow. But I think we have some good things to share with you tonight as well. So I'm just going to share a reminder of what the third grade reading guarantee is, and then what our data looked like this fall when our third graders took that test. So this is a law that's been in effect for several years here in Ohio. Part of it is that all of our K-3 students are given a reading diagnostic in the fall, in which we determine whether students are on track or off track to be on grade level for reading. Those students who we identify that are off track or not on track, we place on reading improvement and monitoring plans. And so that's going to follow those students until we can determine that they are on track. In third grade, it becomes a little bit more high stakes for students as they must earn a promotion score in order to go to the fourth grade on the Ohio State test or one of the state approved alternatives. So it's either earning that promotion score or they might qualify for one of the few exemptions that the state also accepts. Students do have several testing opportunities throughout the year. The first is going to be the fall third grade reading or ELA Ohio State test. We also have one of the alternatives, the Iowa, that takes place at the end of February. They'll take this OST again in the spring. And then for those students who might still not have met that promotion score, they do have a summer opportunity. So provided in this chart here is going to give you the past 5 years of fall third grade data. One thing to keep in mind when you're looking at this data is that this is an end of third grade expectation test that our students are taking in October of their third grade year. So you'll see a lot of improvement from these fall results to the spring results because students will have had several more months of instruction. Another thing to note when you're looking at this chart is that at the very bottom row, it lists what the reading promotion score is for the third grade guarantee. So that score has increased each year with a couple of years that it stalled during COVID and just past COVID, but it has reached kind of that max promotion score that will now be steady for the next few years. And so that promotion score is either earning a 700 or overall proficient on that ELA assessment or a 50 on the reading subscore. Another thing to note in that fall 2020 results, to interpret that with caution, that was our CDL year. And so not all of our students tested. So it's not really a good comparison. I think one major highlight, and the fall of 2019 data has fallen off of this chart, but at that year in the fall, we were at about 71% proficient for our third grade students, but the promotion score at that point was 683. So the fact that we're pretty much right back to those pre-COVID levels with a higher promotion score, I think says a lot about how well our students are prepared in the early literacy programs that we have in our schools. And with that, I will pass it off to Ebony to share a little bit more about elementary literacy updates.
Thank you, Jeanette. Good evening. Tonight, I wanted to begin by grounding us in the legislation that was passed in July 2023, House Bill 33. This House bill contained multiple literacy initiatives that could be categorized into 4 buckets. So the first bucket is the 3rd grade reading guarantee and the determination of 4th grade REMPs, 4th grade and beyond REMPs. This bucket described the need for students to remain on a REMP beyond 3rd grade until they are able to score proficient on the OST. For us in Olentangy, we continue to focus on building strong Tier 1 core instruction and continue to focus on intentional interventions for our students. This is something that we've already been doing and that we're going to continue to do and be more intentional, especially for our 4th grade students and beyond who continue on a reading and monitoring improvement plan. The second bucket is high dosage tutoring. This part of the legislation talks about providing learning experiences for our students outside of intervention in core class. These opportunities for students to engage in work aimed at accelerating their trajectory towards meeting grade level standards. In Olentangy, we have used Lexia to support this extended learning opportunity. We are continuously evaluating the effectiveness and the impact that Lexia is making. We are currently also having conversations with our middle school administrators on how this will look once REMPs move into 6th grade next year. The third bucket is the literacy resource requirement. This is something that I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about in the next slides. This requirement states that we need to adopt a core K-5 ELA curriculum based in the science of reading that is on the state approved list. I will dive into this again in the next couple of slides. And the fourth bucket is the science of reading professional development. This bucket states that professional development is required for all K-12 teachers, including art, music, physical education, and our administrators. This PD is focused on the science of reading professional learning. We are currently also working with our literacy specialists at each level on how we can extend this learning and follow up on the key principles in training throughout the year next year. So back to that third bucket, which is the literacy resource requirement. Before I begin to outline our process, I wanted to highlight the amazing team of educators who have been collaborating to ensure we select the best possible resource. You can see from this list that we have a diverse group of stakeholders from across the district engaged in our process. This showcases the investment of all of our departments towards selecting the best possible high-quality instructional resource for our students. You will notice that we have primary and intermediate teacher representatives from each of our elementary schools. These teachers are serving as our pilot teachers. They were selected by their administrator for their literacy knowledge and their building level leadership. These teachers have committed to pilot each of our selected resources for 8 weeks in their classroom so they can provide us detailed feedback to help us inform our final recommendation. Here is a high-level overview of the work we have accomplished as well as our upcoming plans. Beginning last year in December 2023, we had a team that started the process of analyzing the curriculum resources that were included on the state-approved list. This team identified the top 4 resources that aligned well with our core teaching and learning principles in Olentangy. The primary review team, which consisted of 60 individuals represented from the departments in the slide previously, then had the opportunity to hear presentations from our top 4 vendors and engaged in a deep dive of the sample materials. Each member provided detailed feedback along with their recommendation on which resource we should pilot. From this feedback, we were able to identify the top 2, which were the 2 that we selected. We selected Wit and Wisdom and Benchmark Advanced to pilot. Both resources are from the state-approved list and are being used by districts similar to ours in Ohio. Our pilot teachers began the Wit and Wisdom trial in the fall and will begin the Benchmark Advanced trial next week. With each resource, we were able to engage the teachers and literacy specialists in professional learning around the materials and implementation. We are currently now in the feedback stage. Our pilot teachers have had the opportunity to provide us with feedback through surveys, touch point meetings, and check-ins during informal observations. We also extend the opportunity for our non-pilot teachers to experience the resources through digital access, physical reviews of the materials, and opportunities to see lessons from the pilot teachers. These non-pilot teachers also have the opportunity to submit feedback based on their experiences. Our final stage will be to review all the feedback submitted from teachers, principals, and specialists. We will have an opportunity to elicit feedback from our Continuous Improvement Parent Committee, and we will analyze all the feedback to identify our final recommendation to bring forward for board approval. In closing, I would like to note that even though this is a state mandate, there is a level of excitement around the opportunity to select a core curriculum that will be used in all of our buildings. Through the math adoption, our teachers have seen the positive impact of a consistent curriculum and have felt the joy that the increased collaboration can bring. We look forward to making our final recommendation and beginning our journey of implementing a core ELA curriculum. Thank you.
All right.
And I have to, if I may, really quick, sorry. I mean, I just have to say, like, this is case in point exactly what I spoke to. If anybody heard the video earlier, that this is it. I love being informed on the process, and again, we're not throwing a dart and just seeing where it lands. This is a thorough vetting process with a lot of feedback from a number of stakeholders, and even the slide that focused on the team and who's comprising this team. I mean, research and education shows that when we foster collaborative cultures in our schools, we have great outcomes for kids. So I'm just very appreciative. This is exactly why I enjoy doing this. So thank you very much.
Can we go backwards to your slide with the percentages? Yes, that one. So a third of our kids in the fall got the highest possible that some kids, like that's the end of the year. So they've already smoked this test. What are we doing? And this might be for you, Mr. Meyer, whoever else can answer this. What are we doing to grow these kids? Or are they going to get bored in our classrooms? Because they know what they're doing with third grade reading standards.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have in our schools is our literacy specialists, our gifted specialists who are continuing to advance these students' understanding and deepen their knowledge. So no, they're not just sitting bored in our classroom, checked out, and we don't just, write them off. We're creating different plans for them to make sure that they're continuing to learn and grow and be enriched, just like we would for a student who is struggling, providing those types of interventions. But it's many districts would be thrilled to have this data at the end of the year. And we have kids who are starting the year this way.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick look at the state data. I think over a third of the districts in the state of Ohio don't get to that number by the next spring.
Correct.
So that's impressive. Highest in Delaware County.
And I do want to recognize how intentional we are, kindergarten through third grade, to prepare kids, and the work that we do as a district, as a staff. Our teachers are incredible. Our curriculum team is incredible. So it's very intentional, the work that we do. And I talk a lot about alignment, that K-12 early, pre-K-12 alignment. And it's noticeable in this district based on the results that we get.
Yeah, I have conversations with our schools looking at this data, but really digging into it and looking at what standards are some of our third graders may be struggling with to look at our K-2 instruction, because this really there isn't third grade data yet. It's our K-2 early literacy instruction.
And the interesting thing about this is when the research also shows that it's better to be a little fish in a big pond. You want to be on the all-star team because it makes you better. So our kids are making the other kids better, and that data shows that as well. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll now move to Mr. Tron Smith to discuss overnight and out-of-state trips.
Members of the board, good evening. Dr. Wallach, I'm glad to hear you say you like process, because I'm here to share more about that.
Step by step.
So my purpose tonight is to share with you our district level process that we use to coordinate out of state and overnight field trips, and particularly some of the recent improvements that we've made to that process. Student groups take trips for a variety of reasons. I think it's probably important to share that The state and the federal government do not require these trips. Board policy does not require these trips. Student travel is a privilege, and we are very fortunate to be able to offer some of these things. And obviously, student safety is the core of everything that we do, and it's no different when it comes to these overnight and out-of-state field trips. And you can see actually on the slide, there's a number of opportunities that our students have had, and quite honestly, that group that performed for us tonight, it's not out of the question that at some point before they graduate, they may be performing in New York City, in Chicago, in Washington, D.C., in Nashville. We've had recently, we've had the Liberty High School marching band in London. Last year, we had the Orange High School band in Dublin, Ireland for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So we have amazing travel opportunities for our students. But we do want those to be successful, and we want them to be safe, and there is work that goes into that. So for any successful student travel, it should be safe, it should be well planned in advance, and it should be wisely implemented. And that means that we follow plans and that we adjust when we have unforeseen issues. And really, any trip involves some level of risk. We've had weather cancellations, we've had facility closures, we've had illnesses, and all of these things need to be responded to. So trip leadership is really critical, and we tried to develop a process where our trip leaders understand the rules, they understand the policies, and they understand the supports that they have if something does arise, and so they're making the proper decisions. And I would really emphasize that last sentence in blue on this slide. A successful travel experience is a responsibility of everyone involved. That's students, that's staff, that's parents, that's administration. So we pull these off, and we usually do a pretty good job, but there's a lot of work that goes into those. There's a 5-step process that we have always had these 5 steps in some form. But what we have tried to do is refine these steps. We've digitized these steps, and I feel very comfortable now that we've developed some consistency across our buildings, more efficiency in the process, and also oversight, throughout the different levels. So I'm going to go through those real quickly. I'll go through them in more detail here shortly, but these are the 5 basic steps. The first step is to actually request the trip. So the trip leader fills out the form. That's the who, when, where, why, what. That's what comes through first. It goes to the building supervisor, and that would either be the building principal or the athletic director if it's an athletic trip. And then it comes over here to central office where we review it, and then it ends up on the board agenda for your approval after it's been vetted in those ways. The second step is optional. It is school transportation. So a number of particularly our out-of-state field trips, either use charter buses, the parents transport, they may fly, but anytime school transportation is needed, school vans, school buses, that is a step that we have worked with our transportation department to make sure and shore up, and everybody understands that. Step 3 is the itinerary, and this is where a detailed itinerary is now uploaded to the system. It's provided to the supervisor for review, and this is something that should be in place at least 30 days before the trip takes place. And again, this is something, and I will talk about it a little bit more when we get to that step, that is something that should be shared with parents as well. Step 4 are our policy acknowledgments. So we have tried to gather any pertinent or relevant policy as it pertains to trip responsibilities or trip coordinator responsibilities, overnight trips, field trips, anything that would be relevant to a trip. We now have our trip supervisors and our chaperones, volunteers also review these policies and acknowledge that they understand them. And then step 5, the final piece is who is going on the trip. Who are the staff that are attending? Who are the volunteers? 8, we work with HR in this to ensure that everybody is properly credentialed and has the appropriate background checks. Before I get into a little bit more detail, I also want to say that we did, in addition to improving I think our consistency, our efficiency, and our oversight. We did look at our strategic plan to the district, just in the spirit of continuous improvement. We can always get better, and I think throughout this process that we've done that. So, a little bit more detail about each of the steps. Step one, as I said, this is. And you can, and I apologize for the small print. No, it's hard to see, but really what it's asking, there are 14 questions. Who is going? When are they going? Where are they going? How are they going? And why are they going? So those are the 5 things that we're looking at. Those go to the building supervisor. They come over here to us. And then when we vetted that, that's when they come to you. Okay. Those should be moving forward, submitted now by April 1st for board approval in the second board meeting in April, and October 1st for board approval in the second meeting in October. And we also understand that there are athletic trips and there are things that come up when there is not a board meeting to be held. Our policy does allow for approval of those, but we really do want to try to be more consistent in our ability to review and gather the information for these trips. So that is step one. Step 2 is transportation. Again, this is an optional only if you are using school transportation. And I would like to point out too, I could have done it on the last slide, but we do require trip advisors to abide by that 20-to-1 student ratio. That's not a hard number, but that's the suggested number. We look at our classroom ratios and they're generally 25-to-1. When we think about overnight or out-of-state trips, that requires a little bit more supervision, maybe a little bit more free time. And so we did feel like it was maybe a little bit more appropriate to have a smaller number. However, ultimately, that's going to be up to the athletic director and the principal. If there's going to be any change to that, that should be vetted by them and it should be approved by the supervisor so everybody is on the same page. Step 3 is the itinerary, and this is a little bit different. I think this is an approval to or an improvement to our process. This is now uploaded to the system, and so it is there. It is something that should be done 30 days at least prior to departure, understanding that there may be changes to this, but any change to this itinerary, again, has to be communicated to the supervisor so that we're aware of that, also to the parents, also to the students. There are 7 required fields for this. And really they are, how are they being supervised? Where are they staying? Who is rooming with who? Really important is a detailed daily schedule. And again, we tell our trip leaders, that should be everything from what time do you wake up? When are meals? When are you departing for the activity? When is the activity? What is happening at night? What is free time? What is, and we try to, obviously, we want to encourage limited unstructured free time. And then finally, when are room checks? What does that look like? And when are lights out? So as much detail as we can possibly provide to our students and to our parents.
Mr. Lester, do you want
go
to
ahead.
wait till we're done all the way and go back, or so?
Good.
Thanks for the detail. Very much appreciated. You already answered my question about ratios. Bed checks, is it expectation that those are done
Nightly, every night? Yes. And we've also, at this point, we've trained our principals, we've trained our assistant principals, we've trained our athletic directors. They in turn have trained the teachers and coaches. And I think part of, we even talk specifically about what does a good room check look like? What's the expectation for how we do those? But they should certainly be done each night of the trip.
And you said any changes would be communicated.
Yeah, any
Because
changes.
sometimes you go on something, if you're playing a schedule, you're winning, all of a sudden you're there till Sunday instead of Thursday or whatever it turns out.
Yeah, and that's critical too, because those change travel plans, they can change a lot of different dynamics of the trip. So any change to the itinerary, we always want to make sure is communicated to the supervisor and then also to the parents. The step 4 is the policy acknowledgments. Again, as I mentioned, we tried to pull every relevant policy that we thought would apply to overnight and out-of-state trips. And there is a space, they're all linked. So the expectation is that the trip leader reads those and acknowledges that they read them and they understand them. This goes for volunteers as well. Anybody that is a chaperone on the trip should read and acknowledge all of these policies. And then step 5, as I said, that's when we work through HR with a little bit too. We just verify, and so we know who is going on this trip, who are the staff that are going. Are there paid volunteers? Are there other volunteers that are just coming? Do they have their bib? Do they have their FBI, BCI? Have they completed the training? So, again, and when we talk about safety, it's always important to know that anybody that's attending these trips has been properly vetted. And then finally, we try to fill in any gaps through this process. So we have a robust 6-page step sheet that has instructional videos, how you apply for a trip, what does it look like to get into records, all of the forms that are digitized, the permission forms, medication forms, all the board policies, and even I would draw your attention to. And this is just, I'm sharing a screenshot of page 1, but you can see at the top in blue, it says step 1, overnight or out-of-state field trip request. So that's the first step. But in between, we also have added after board approval, schedule a parent meeting, distribute forms, collect forms. And then we've also bullet pointed, these are all the things that should be discussed in the parent meeting. And we've also shared with our supervisors, with our principals and our ADs, you should have the date of this meeting. You should have an agenda of this meeting and what was covered. So again, anytime we can try to fill in a gap to make sure that we have a safe trip, to make sure that we have an informed trip, and make sure that we have a trip that can be flexible if there are changes, we have tried to identify, any gap that anybody could, or any question that anybody might be having as it pertains to this. So, it's been a collaborative process. I think we've worked with extensively with transportation. We work with HR. We work with all of the buildings. Training is complete, and we're going to continue. We'll continue to mention these at our athletic director meetings. We'll continue to follow up with our principals because it is a bit of a new process. We want to make sure it's going well. And again, if we've missed anything, we always have the opportunity to refine that and get better.
So thank you so much for that. And I really appreciate the level of thought that went into it. To me, there's sort of 3 components of this. One is the planning, right? The thinking of all the details. And you've done a wonderful job of really thinking about each step of the process, what's required to make this a proper step. The second is certainly communication, of talking to people about it. And then the third is responsibility if you don't follow it. Right. And I think it's certainly, our expectation around all policies, the policies of the district are being followed, or policies of the board are being followed, especially in these instances where we're outside of the school environment. Whoever it is, whether it's a staff member, whether it's a student, a volunteer, if there's not, compliance with all of this thoughtfulness, or if things change and we don't communicate about them, that there's a level of responsibility that goes along with that. And that can impact the ability to go on trips. It can impact, employment status, can impact, academic status, or any of those things. But you don't go through all of this and then just say, well, do whatever you want. Right. I mean, it's that expectation that you really are following through on it.
Thank you.
Under penalty of death, I think I have one more question. And I'm not going to name names, but under penalty of death. One more question, because you actually covered the responsibility part. The responsible person is, what are they called on the trip?
Trip leader.
Trip leader. Okay.
Trip coordinator.
They're the person responsible for everything.
Correct. Well, yes. I mean, ultimately, yeah, they're the trip leader. When they're on the road, whenever they're gone, they're responsible. Yeah.
And if parents have concerns, praise, questions, concerns, or genuine complaint, what's the process to follow through with that?
That's a good question. I think, just like anything else, we always want to try to resolve issues at the lowest level possible. So any initial complaints should go to the trip coordinator, the trip leader. If for some reason that's not possible, or there's an issue with that, then it would go to the building supervisor, whether it would be the principal or the athletic director, and then we would work from there. But we always want to try to stick to that chain of command.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, Mr. Meyer, move to the superintendent's report.
Good.
Was it something we said?
No, but I first want to welcome,
that last
so
question?
Berlin High School, right? AP Gov, second semester. You guys good this week? You had a couple days off and yeah. I appreciated the snow song from the Cheshire Cubs. However, I got to be honest with you. I'm tired of winter.
Yeah.
I'm ready for spring and I'm ready for the summer. So, especially with the cold days.
I will say that one of the parts of staying in touch with the community is monitoring Instagram comments on the school page around those.
That could turn on a dime, right?
Yeah, the favorite one that I saw was saying that Mr. Meyer was like if Santa Claus and LeBron had a baby.
Yeah.
That's
Which I thought was really pretty amazing. So.
Kids.
Actually, it was informed. One of my friends has a kiddo at Liberty who utilized AI to help craft a very lengthy thank you to you.
Yeah.
Really
highlighting all the-
appreciation.
Our
Creativity
and
and
our-
prose
yeah.
in some of those notes, I think, really reflects our students'
Our kids are.
earned English
Yes.
ELA skills. And I
They're
guess,
saying it's just
good demonstration of their ELA skills. Yeah.
Extremely creative. And I do want to thank Mr. Stewart for bringing the Cheshire Cubs. And again, anytime that we can showcase the talent that we have in the district, no matter what the level, so elementary, middle school, or high school, we're happy to do that. So that was great. Also, Ms. Kenny and Mrs. Ford. Mrs. Ford just was recently married, so congratulations again. But I do want to thank them for the work that they do within their respective departments. And again, I'm just always in awe of the work and the intentionality in this district that we do as an organization. And at the end of the day, it's to impact the student experience, to make sure that our students are receiving the best education possible in our schools. And also want to thank Mr. Smith for his leadership going through the overnight and out-of-state process. Again, we provide a lot of opportunities for our kids, and learning just doesn't happen in the classroom. There's so many of these activities that happen throughout our district at all levels where there are tremendous learning opportunities for our kids and experiences for our kids. So appreciate his leadership with that. And with that said, I want to thank the board as, again, with January being National School Board Recognition Month, I personally want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for your service and sacrifice that you provide to the community as well as the district. And I say this all the time, and we're blessed here in Olentangy because we have a board who is committed to support the mission of the district. And that's the work that we all do each and every day, again, to provide the best experience for our kids. So thank you for your service. There we go. And Mr. Lester already mentioned that, but we wanted to highlight the Olentangy's MLK Day of Service. I think this may be the third year in a row that we've done this now, maybe. So it gets better and better every year. And again, just commend staff members and community members and everyone who took time to donate to all of these organizations. So just a couple stats here. 172 bags filled with essential toiletry items were donated to Nationwide Children's Hospital, NICU. Also, the Delaware County People in Need received over 700 items donated to their organization. This is my favorite too, because diapers are expensive. So the diaper bank filled a U-Haul truck with donations and still more boxes to pick up. So tremendous. And then Chris received so many donations, their vehicle wasn't big enough to receive it also, obviously, multiple trips. But again, it just says a lot about our students and our staff and for sure our community. I want to highlight, this was fun. This is fun. So Oak Creek Elementary held their annual multicultural night, and I was invited as well as our district leadership team from a parent there at Oak Creek. And again, just a great night of, you can see all of the things that were showcased there. The students are awesome, and we did a lot of different performances, whether it was individual performances or in group performances. So it was just a just a great night. Had a lot of fun there at Oak Creek. This is scheduling season. I just wanted to point this out too, because this is part of the intentionality with the district in a large district and making things feel small. So transition from elementary 5th grade to 6th grade, that's a big deal. And then transition from 8th grade to the high school is a big deal. But we really, as a district, are intentional in making sure that we're providing support for all of our students during the scheduling season, but for sure those students who transition to the different levels. So wanted to point out that we are going through that right now. So this is, again, a video is going to come on here in a minute, but save the date for the 2025 State of the Schools event on Wednesday, February 26th. So again, we're going to be able to showcase our schools and many, many student performances, and we're going to change the format a little bit this year on how we're going to deliver information about the district. But again, last year was awesome. We had tons of parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters, and again, got to showcase a lot of the talent that we have around the district. So it's 19. There you go. So you heard it here first. State of the schools. Also, I forgot to mention, so behind you, those pictures are so cool. So when I was a high school principal, I used to always, obviously, was so proud and impressed of the talent that we had in our visual art department. And every year from the art show, I would pick one selection from one student, and they would donate it to me in my office. And of course, there were many, but we have, so those, cherish those forever. Yeah. Make sure that you guys take good care of those. Superintendent action items, want to recognize we have 2 retirements tonight. So one is in the audience, Marty Argenbright, Pupil Services Director, effective August 1st, 2025. Marty, you feeling good back there? He's feeling good, but again, he's been 33 years in education, 13 in the district, right? Because he was here, left, and came back. But do want to thank him for his leadership and service to Olentangy staff, students, as well as families in the Pupil Services Department. Also want to highlight Mike Naveau, longtime guidance counselor at Olentangy High School, 36 years of service in Olentangy. And again, I say this about a lot of staff members, but Mr. Naveau has just given so much time and energy and support to our district over the 36 years. So want to wish him the best in retirement. A couple standing operating recommendations here. We have some early graduates, and then we do have some overnight out-of-state trips. As Mr. Smith said, we're going to try to go to a cadence of twice a year. But we have some catching up to do in order to get to those dates. So we have some for approval on tonight's agenda, and then from business management facilities, we have some students to declare transportation as impractical. Coming up, the important dates, just want to point out a few. Classified interview day, again, that's one thing that we're consistently, we do throughout the year. The test drive a bus and interview day. So we're going to do that again. We've had success with that. That's Saturday, February 22nd. So hopefully we have good weather and no snow, right? So we can actually, Lori, drive the buses, right? Okay. Again, the State of the Schools, Wednesday, February 26th at Olentangy High School, 6 to 7:30. And our next Board of Education meeting are right here, Thursday, February 6th at 6:30.
Any questions?
When is the assignment due?
March.
Oh, okay. Good.
March something?
I thought you.
You got it. Oh, you are on it way ahead of time. Yeah, March.
They're going to say tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
I just want to express my appreciation as someone who has a child transitioning to high school and another child transitioning to middle school. It's been they've made it as easy as it can be for a parent who overthinks things. So
Big.
All right, Mr. Jenkins, treasurer's report.
Dusty's messing with my slide jumping. Good evening, board members. I have just a couple of very quick items. I won't let it bother me.
Talk about money.
Now you two, you get the prize. You get to learn about the tax budget next time. You excited? I know. Very quick agenda this evening. Going to ask you to approve the minutes from the January 9th board meeting in both organizational and the regular meeting. There are two donations and then there's a couple. I think one, when you actually get to the agenda, there's a $200 donation to Oak Creek. And then we're reclassifying back in the fall. We had a mix up and thought that $13,000 was coming from the Olentangy athletic boosters, but it was the Olentangy music boosters. So we're clarifying that and giving it proper credit. So you'll see those two items, which aren't necessarily reflected on this slide. The acceptance of the monthly financials for December of 2024, and then updated appropriations. And then as mentioned, next board meeting, I'll have a very brief presentation on our tax budget. We're already planning and getting our budget in place for the fiscal year that starts July 1 of 2025. I'll entertain any questions.
We will hold you to that very brief presentation.
Right. And there are no public participation forms.
Okay, good. All right, then we'll move into our discussion item, which is Dr. Fetty on the district school calendar options for 26-27.
Settle in. This is going to be more than 8 seconds. Good evening. I'm here to present the school calendar drafts for the 2026-27 school year. So thank you for having me. So first, quick overview of the school calendar philosophy. We're guided by state attendance law, which sets minimum hours of attendance for all of our students. As you can see, we're well over the minimums at each of our levels, about 20 or so days at each level, except for at kindergarten where we're an every other day model, which the state only requires, and we're still 11 days over the minimum standard there. As well, the board has a policy 8210 for setting the calendar, and each of our employee bargaining agreements has parameters for school calendars as well that we look into.
So on that,
Yep, go ahead.
does anyone run at the minimum?
I don't believe so. That would,
How do we compare relative to, I mean, should we be like, wow, we have a lot, or are we?
I haven't done
actually
a wide survey of across the state, but within the area, we are on par with pretty much everyone in the area within a day or two, I would say. I don't know of anyone that's really out of whack with where we are. The point being that the state has gone away from days to hours. And when we have calamity days like we had this week, we don't have to make up those days. We don't have to worry so much about makeup days like we used to way back in the day.
Yeah.
But we also could, if the board ever wanted to, dramatically reduce the hours. The law allows us to, basically cut a month out of the school year. We would have to have this hearing here, get 30 days of public feedback, and then vote, which we would be doing now. We're not proposing that at this meeting. But it is required at this hearing that we also disclose the number of hours that we attend and the length of the school day that we propose to attend in the subsequent school year.
Thank you.
Yep.
And this does not include like embedded professional development, things like that.
It doesn't include lunch. So definitely not even embedded professional. These are instructional hours for students. Yep. So now when I say days though, I'm just talking about our days. So when I say we are 23 days beyond the minimum, I just calculate back in what is an Olentangy day, including lunch, So, I didn't get creative with that calculation. So anyway, we'll have our 30-day feedback window here coming up. But I guess I should also point out to you within our board policy, there are other calendar considerations that aren't going to be discussed here. Things like observing Veterans Day in the classrooms, things like that we do still follow. We also have the ability to make up calamity days using, blizzard bags or virtual models if we needed to, up to 3 days. That's limited to 3 days. And then in our bargaining agreements, we have, you'll see in the calendar when we get into it, professional days, like Dr. Dabrico mentioned, professional development days. And those would be like our clock hours that our professionals use to hone their craft. Then you have work days, which are kind of uninterrupted time for professionals to, mostly our teachers to grade or to plan. And then you have our exchange days, which are also known as in lieu of days, when the teachers do parent-teacher conferences. And then contracts also mention holidays. So all of that gets noted on the calendar.
Okay, so for this calendar, we're not talking about cutting any days or hours,
Correct.
but that has been part of our larger discussion. If we don't get the funding eventually to operate in the manner that we are used to, with the number of students and staff that we would need to support that, that's one of the options.
Yeah, I think when you talk about, that kind of cost cutting, anything's on the table, and reducing the school year would have to be one. Absolutely. So this year we're going to be presenting 2 options of the calendar, the way the dates fall. So you're going to see an option A and an option B. One isn't necessarily preferred to the other. One's got to come first. So we're seeking feedback on both options. Both calendars are going to show you the school year starting for students on August 20th and ending on May 27th. Both calendars are going to last the normal 173 student days. The differences, first, you're going to see at at winter break for students. The student break the semester would end December 18th, but the difference would be, would the teacher workday fall on December 21st or January 4th? So at the end of the first semester or at the beginning of the second semester. So that'll be something we'll be seeking feedback on from teachers, but then that also has a parent feedback component as well, because that impacts when do the students return. Would they begin on January 4th or January 5th, Monday or Tuesday, to start the second semester? That clear? All right, and then the next major option has to do with spring break. So will spring break be the last full week of March or the last week of March into the beginning of April? And will the second semester conference exchange day fall on Good Friday, extending spring break, or will it fall later in April, totally separate from spring break? So those are the 2 main differences in these 2 calendars. So we'll have this 30-day feedback window. Our friends in communications will share it out in the board recap, and it'll be posted on the website through Sunday, February 23rd. And then we will bring a final draft for board consideration at the March 13th board meeting.
And I do want to encourage, I've already heard from people ask about this as they're planning things for the following year. And I do want to encourage people to submit feedback. I know
Absolutely. Feedback is important.
seriously, and yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Fetty.
My pleasure.
All right. I will now entertain a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 and Revised Code 121.22 for the purpose of reviewing negotiations with public employees and to consider the compensation of public employees. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Lester,
Yes.
would you like me to update? I think there was just a typo.
No.
That
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me, I was reading
I
the
think
wrong.
we
let me be clear that it's pursuant to 121.22 G1 and G4.
Yes.
So, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Does that change a base motion?
I'd like to think about it.
Yeah. Take some time.
And who was the motion? I'm sorry.
There's Dr. Dabico and then Ms. Schreiber was second. And I'll just clarify that we will be returning to take some action after this. So, all right.
I'm updating that. Okay. Dr. Dabrico,
Yes.
Dr. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Lester.
Yes. All right. We are convened into executive session. We'll call this meeting back to order. We're reconvening into open session. The agenda is a little different, but we're going to move to board action items. So the first action item is to recommend approval of OPSI Local Number 39 Collective Bargaining Agreement Extension. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? All right, hearing none. Mr. Jenkins, please call the roll.
Dr. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Lester,
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico.
Yes.
All right, we'll now move on to motion to recommend approval of OPSI Local Number 222 Collective Bargaining Agreement Extension. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Jenkins?
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Lester,
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico,
Yes.
Dr. Wallach.
Yes.
Okay, then we have recommend approval of OPSI Local Number 322 Collective Bargaining Agreement Extension. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I think first, and I'll take that as a second. Any discussion? I just will note with all of these, we really commend the efforts of everyone working hard to negotiate these and to talk through it with our various entities. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of thoughtful work. So thank everyone for going into that. So the discussion. All right, Mr. Jenkins.
Ms. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Lester,
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico,
Yes.
Dr. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
All right, we'll now move to our treasurer consent action items. Mr. Jenkins, would you like to present those?
Yeah, members of the Board of Education, tonight's treasurer's items will be presented as one consent calendar. Each item will be approved by one vote unless you would like to pull an item out separately and discuss it. Those items would be A, approval of the January 9th minutes for both the org and the regular board meeting. Item B, acceptance of the donations as noted on the agenda. Item C, the acceptance of the December 2024 monthly financial report. And again, item D, approval of the FY fiscal year 25 modified appropriations. And again, those would be all one single motion and vote, which is item E, unless someone would like to pull one out and discuss it separately.
Would anyone like to discuss any of these separately? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve as a slate of consent items?
So moved.
And a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins?
Mr. Lester,
Yes.
Dr. Dabrico,
Yes.
Dr. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber.
Yes.
All right, we'll now move on to the superintendent consent action items. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. Board members, I recommend approval of the following superintendent consent action items A through H. A, specific human resource items administrative. B, specific human resource items certified. C, specific human resource items supplemental. D, specific human resource items classified. E, specific human resource items classified substitutes. F, recommendation for approval of students for early graduation. G, recommend approval of student overnight out-of-state field trips. H, recommendation of business management and facilities item, which is to declare students impractical. For transportation, I'm asking you to approve these items by one single action and vote unless you'd like to discuss any of these items separately.
Just be clear, we're just declaring transportation impractical, not that the students.
So, transportation.
Either way.
Yes,
Okay. Anyone wish to discuss any of these separately? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve as a slate of consent action items?
So moved.
A second? I will second again. Beat you to it. All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Jenkins.
Dr. Dabrico,
Yes.
Dr. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Lester.
Yes. All right, I will now entertain a motion to go back into executive session pursuant to revised code 12122G3 for conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Can I have a motion to enter into executive session?
And when we return,
I'm just going to hit that in discussion, but we will, just to be clear, we will not be taking any action other than to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. Hearing that, Mr. Jenkins.
Dr. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber,
Yes.
Mr. Lester,
Yes.
Dr. Daverco.
Yes.
Not.
Yep. You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, it is 9:03 p.m. We're returning from executive session. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Lester?
Yes.
Dr. Daberco?
Yes.
Dr. Wallach?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Schreiber?
Yes.
All right. We're